What's up? How everybody doing? Welcome to the Pimpoholic TV podcast. Got a special guest interview today. I'm excited about this. I'm real excited about this one. You know what I'm saying? So while I'm waiting on my guests to tune in, we're just gonna vibe with some Maal The Pimp music right quick.
Tennessee, baby. The city, city. Y'all call it Chattanooga, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
We call it Chattown.
Y'all ready for this?
From Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga, from Chattanooga,
Yep.
from Chattanooga. We is Maal The Pimp.
Pimpoholic TV podcast.
We is Maal The Pimp.
Subscribe to Pimpoholic TV on YouTube.
Maal The Pimp.
You dig?
From Chattanooga. Don't catch me showing out for people, I ain't got nothing to prove. But if somebody show out on me, I ain't got nothing to lose. That's my mentality. We're roaming in the city I'm at, between the Ville and Atlanta. This the city of chat. A lot of drama going on in these Tennessee streets. Keep my pistol on my seat, call that my Tennessee heat. If you ain't strapped, they'll fix it. That's just part of the game. But me, I'm coming for revenge, not that
What up?
The crime rate in Chattanooga comes from gangs and drugs.
What up, Scotty?
Side from Broad Rock, full of nothing for thugs.
Dude, Scotty.
Being chill mode, we just got out the pen. They might rob your open face like you won't see them again. At the club in my city, they don't party no more. It's just a spot where gang members clash heads on the floor. Hit 9th Street and Bill Wick.
I see you, bro.
See, I ain't lying. The whole notice about 100 gangsters repping their side. That's where I'm from, homie.
Where you from?
Chattanooga.
From
Chattanooga. From Chattanooga.
From
Chattanooga.
Y'all stay tuned in. Y'all stay tuned in. Here we come.
From Chattanooga. From Chattanooga. We is Maal The Pimp. From Chattanooga. We is Maal The Pimp. We is Maal The Pimp.
From
Chattanooga. It's 10 minutes in Chattanooga, dog. It's plenty of dope. Like some of them
What up,
stop
Esther?
to
How you
the
doing?
bone, some of them work for the flow real. You can't just stop from anybody. Just depends who you know.
Waiting on
I'm
our
trying to
special
take
guest to
it
tune in.
past him up if he got
He coming.
place for the low.
He coming.
Somebody always take the deal though. Go right there and caught. And now he looking at an elbow, wondering how he got popped. I seen a lot of homies jammed up. Most of it was greedy. I hustled every now and then, but I ain't sell nothing but. Oh, these bros will do it to you. Put a blade to your throat. They quick to give you AIDS and brag about it. Murder some smoke. I play it cool, but look, you know it ain't no playing with me.
Mel Wallace,
Man,
what it
I
do?
got folks on every side.
do?
Get your hammer for free. That's where I'm from, homie. From Chattanooga. From Chattanooga. From Chattanooga. From Chattanooga.
That's my guest right there. Here you go, Ron. I got you. My special guest right there. I see him. I see him right there.
What's going on, bro?
I'm cool, man. Hey, check this out, man. So let me introduce who I got in the building, man. I got a real positive brother right here in the building, man. I respect your transition from what you used to be to what you are now. I'm talking about this is a guy who's dealt in the streets at one point in time, so he understands that life, but he's transitioned his life and went full-fledged positive, and now he's a stand-up guy for the word of God. I'm talking about Pastor Ron King. Welcome to Pimpoholic TV, and how you doing, man?
Glad to be here, bro. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share with you. It's been a while since I've done an interview, but of course, I was delighted to do this one because I've watched you. I've been in the same circles with you on that positive tip, positive move. So I invited a lot of my people to tune in and let's go with it. You know what I'm saying? I'm glad.
I saw that. I appreciate that. Hey, you got some earphones, Ron? You got some earpieces?
Okay, is that better?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Yeah, a lot better.
Okay.
And again, man, thank you for tuning in, man. I appreciate this a lot, man. Now this is why I want to interview you, Ron. Man, I feel like you got a nice story, man. And my goal here, I wanted to talk to you so we can help reach a lot of these young dudes in the streets who need to change, but sometimes their pride won't let them change, or sometimes they don't know how to go about doing that. And I feel like you're the perfect example of that, man. So I want to go back to the beginning. We ain't got to go into deep details, but at one point in time, you was in the street doing your thing, doing the same thing that a lot of these brothers are doing now, but you transitioned. So my first question is, what made you transition from the street life to what you're doing now? What was the thing that made you say, okay, I need to switch? What was it?
Man, I can remember it like it was yesterday. One of the main things that caused me to transition and to change is in 1995, my son was born.
Okay.
And when my son was born, I realized that I had to try to provide a different life, other than what I had learned. All I knew was street. You know what I'm saying? I grew up. I ain't never been in no gang or nothing like that, but I was a bona fide hustler. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? I knew how to get to the bag. But I'm like, man, this life is not for somebody that's trying to raise a son. You know what I'm saying? So in 1997, my son was born in 1995.
Okay.
That's when it really kicked in, and I realized that I needed to do something different. In 1997 is when I tried church. I grew up in a sense in a little traditional church, but I really wasn't learning anything there. So in 1997 is when I chose to go for me and my family at the time. And during that time is when I actually began to learn. And to hold on, my earpiece doing some crazy. Okay, so that's actually when I began to learn and started to grow. You know what I'm saying? I did it for my son because I felt like, man, I need to show him a different path, because if he take the same path that I take, he might not be as fortunate as I was to even make it out.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that's what actually caused me to take a different path.
Okay, so you probably answered this already, but I still ask you again just in case you want to elaborate on it. What are the actual steps you took to actually go from this to this?
Man, I'm gonna be honest, bro. Like, and sometimes I still think about it. Like, preaching was nothing that I thought about.
Okay.
Preaching was, it's not like I said, man, I'm getting ready to change, and I think, you know what, I'm gonna try preaching. Preaching never crossed my mind. First of all, because I was so street that I did everything that came with streets. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Right.
if you a street dude and you in the trenches like that, you ain't thinking preaching. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna tell you what happened, man. Like, God started closing doors. I didn't realize it was him. I didn't realize it was him working. I didn't realize that he was putting me in position to becoming, what I am today. But then when doors start closing and the only door left open is the door that you need to go through, you know what I'm saying? And that's when I actually began to realize, like, man, this is crazy. And he gave me like this crazy desire once I started going to church to learn more. I didn't go to church saying I'm getting ready to learn how to be a preacher. I went to church to try to learn a better way to raise my son and my family. You see what I'm saying? And
I
so
get it. Yeah.
as I began to learn, I started wanting more. I started out in the back, and then I started moving up, and then
Right.
I
Right.
started moving up, and I
Right.
started getting closer, and then next thing you know, I'm in the front, at least the front 2 or 3 rows. You know what I'm saying, with my family right there, consistently every Sunday. And I was wanting so much of God that even what I was getting didn't seem like it was enough. I had this crazy hunger for it, and I could not understand it at the time. It took me it took me 4.5 years to understand what was going on. And I can even remember my calling in 2000. We were going through that Y2K stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Transitioning over from 1999 to 2000 is when I went to my pastor at the time, who was actually McKinley Holloway Jr. And I told him, I feel that God is calling me higher and calling me to do something other than what I know. He's calling me to preach. And my pastor told me at that time, he said, I've watched you for 4 years. I have watched you for 4 years be in this church. I have watched you serve. I have watched you grow. I have seen the hunger in your eyes. And so when I announced to him on watch night service that God was calling me to preach, he said he had no doubt. He said that I was waiting on you. He said, because I already knew that God had given you a type of heart, to do what he's calling you to do. And so after meeting with him at Wally's, I remember he took me to Wally's and he sat down with me and we discussed my calling. So from that moment, I was kind of launched into working to becoming a minister, but not a pastor.
Okay.
But even then, I understood that I had a pastor's heart, because you can't pastor if you don't love people.
You
If you if
true,
you
true.
if you don't love people, and if you don't have a heart for people, then you might be better off as an evangelist. An evangelist is the type of person that hits you with a hard message and they move on to the next city. They don't have to try to get to know you. They don't have to try to hear your story. They go from church to church, and they preach their word, whatever God gives them, and they move on. But they never really form a bond with people like that. But that's not what God gave me. With me being from the hood, and with me being, like I was raised in AP. I moved to Alton Park when I was like in the sixth grade, and my first day in Alton Park in school, I got fired on. You know what I'm saying? Hey, bro, I got hit in the jaw in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? All these dudes grew up together. I'm not used to this environment. Like, what I'm supposed to do? I cried. You know what I'm saying? So it was a whole new environment for me. But that moment made me realize, that I got to get tough. You know what I'm saying? I got to get to a point to where I can walk in these projects with people who was born out here. You see what I'm saying?
Right, right,
So after that right there, I started forming bonds, and I started learning how I needed to move to be a project kid. You see what I'm saying? Because
right.
I wasn't raised for the first few years of my life in the projects, but I adapted to it once I got there. And once it was in me, it was just in me. So
Right.
but yeah, man, like I said, that transition, man, it wasn't just a one night transition. This was a transition, 'cause I used to go to clubs, I used to go out, hang out, I used to smoke weed, I used to be out there drinking. And even when I started going to church, I can remember I was singing in the choir. And one time I was down there at uh and I had a bottle. You know how we hang out, you got a bottle, and you got your brown paper bag over your bottle. I'm just walking down 9th Street, and I'm drinking, and somebody saw me from the church and was like, "Don't you sing in the choir?" You know what I'm
Put
saying?
you on the
Man,
spot, huh?
hey, bro, you talking about blew my high and everything. But I was still in the transitioning mode. Like, sometimes
Right.
people think that you got it. Like, once you got it. But it's a lifelong process and transition that takes place. You never get to a point to where you say, okay, I'm in and I got it all. You see what I'm saying? Because in that case, you become that person who can say that I have arrived. I've learned everything I need to know. I got all my ducks in a row. I'm crossing all my T's and dotting all my I's. But
Excuse me.
unfortunately, Maul, it don't work like that.
True.
Because sometimes you have setbacks. Sometimes you have things that set you off. Sometimes you still have triggers that people can hit them triggers, and it calls you to respond, in a
Yeah.
way that you used
Yeah.
to respond. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
that's why I say
Right.
it's a lifelong process. That's why, like, I don't even like beefing with people. You see what I'm saying? Because, like, I ain't there yet. Like, man, being a preacher, man, will have you tested. And the thing is, like, I don't like playing them games, man, because I know, in all honesty, that I'm not him. You know what I'm saying? I'm not him,
Right.
and I know what's in me. So I try to stay away, try to stay positive, and help these folk kids, and try to help as many people as I can help, to get to the next level. I'm not there, Maul, but guess what? I'm still striving. I'm still striving to get there. Even as a pastor, my church, they understand. I got some riders with me, but they understand that we all are transitioning to becoming what God wants us to become.
Gotcha. Now I want to go back on two things you said before I move on to the
Yes,
next
sir.
question. First, you said
Yes, sir.
you was recognized that a lot of doors were being closed in your face. Give some examples of things that you see now, but at the time when those doors are being closed, you didn't know what it was. What kind of doors are being closed that made you say, okay, I
When
need to go this route?
when I say that door started being closed, I mean, like, he started taking certain desires away.
Okay.
And those are closed doors, because you no longer want to walk through those doors. You no longer have a desire for those doors. He was changing my desire. So, for instance, I used to love to, I wasn't the type of person that used to hang out in the club. I used to like to hang outside the club. You
Parking
know what
lot
I'm saying?
pimping. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm trying to see what's going in there. You know what I'm saying, and what's coming
Right.
out. So I wasn't trying to get caught up on the inside. Yeah, did I go in? Yes, I went in, but I spent most of my time outside. I can dip when I get ready, move how I want to move
Right.
when I got ready to move. But he took those desires away. I can remember because I've been married before. So in my first marriage, I can remember my ex-wife wrote a letter to God. She wrote a letter to God and she asked him to change my life. That's
Okay.
how in the streets I was. She wrote a letter and I found it one day and I read the letter, and she asked God to change my life, and lo and behold, he did that, but she was never expecting this.
Right. Okay. I
You
get
know,
it.
so
I
so
get it.
so
Yeah.
so you got to be careful what you ask for, really, because sometimes God will give you more than you bargain for. So when you start writing him letters and asking him for things, you got to make sure that you're careful with that and ask yourself, are you really ready for what you're asking him for? So he took my desire for selling dope, took my desire because I realized then, like, hold on, there's an epiphany going on. I'm putting poison in the streets. You see what I'm saying? I'm saying Black Lives Matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying I'm for my people, and I'm saying I'm trying to change, but yet I'm still pausing in my community. So God closed that door right there. You see what I'm saying? I ain't knocking nobody. I know that it's a transition for people,
It
and
real. It
that's
is.
why, and that's why even people that's in the streets now, they still mess with me because they know that I understand the struggle. You see what I'm saying? I'm not trying to down you. I'm not trying to hurt you. If I can't help you, I'm certainly not going to try to drag you or harm you. You see what I'm saying? So he started closing them doors, Maul. Took my desire to go to the club. Took my desire to have, all this going on with all these women. Took my desire for this and that, and then I started focusing. Man, I wanted so much more of God, man, that like I would read the Bible day and night. I would read the Bible, and even when I was reading and studying it, it just was not enough. It was consuming me. So once he started closing them doors, Maul, then my mindset changed. You change your mind, you change your life. You see what I'm saying? If you
Right.
always think the
I
way
agree.
you've always thought, you're gonna always do what you always done. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The
Right.
results are going to be the same. So I tried him, and this is the result of that. I'm still trying him. I had to make a decision every single day when I get up. Am I going to serve him today? Am I going to go at it again? Because I realized, Maul, there's a lot of people's future deliverance, elevation. A lot of that stuff is connected to me. It's a lot of people that love me.
I agree.
I understand that. I'm not some people's favorite. I understand that I'm not some people's preference. I'm good with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm cool with that. You ain't got to like me. You ain't got to like what I've been. You ain't got to. Because sometimes people will judge you based on what you've been through and not where you're getting ready to go. And I'm cool with that because like me, I don't have to answer to none of them. I got to answer to God at the end of the day. I got people that love me unconditionally, and that's what I focus on.
Yes. Okay. The next thing I heard you say, I want you to kind of elaborate on. I heard you say I'm not there yet. As a preacher, I still get tested. Now, school me on this, because just me with my own common sense, I'm thinking, say if I was a guy who was on some foolishness, right, and I want to go around testing people. This is me personally. I would say, man, dude, the preach, I ain't tripping on him, man. You feel me? So what kind of ways do you get tested in that position when people knowing what you stand for and knowing that you went from negative to positive? Why would they want to test you, and what kind of tests come your way?
I don't think I think the tests that I have are more like in the spiritual realm. Like, yeah,
Okay.
there are people who like I ain't really had no face to face confrontation.
Okay. Okay.
I ain't had nobody walking up on me, ain't had nobody trying to test me like that. And
Okay.
I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that. You know what I'm saying? I'm grateful for me and I'm grateful for them. You see what I'm saying? Like, but like I'm like I get tested, like, sometimes people walk with you. And when people walk with you, sometimes you have a tendency to be transparent with the people that walk with you. you open up to them. You know, you share things with them, and you should be able to do those things. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, and sometimes people will leave. You know, people that start out with you may not always walk with you, and when they leave, a lot of times they leave in a negative way.
True.
They leave in a negative
True.
way, and they try to take something that you've shared with them, and they try to turn into something that it probably wasn't. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, and so I get tested in that area because I still got a lot. I got a lot of God in me, but I still got a lot of street in me too.
I understand that.
And
I know what
so,
you mean.
but right. So, but the thing is, I try my best not to respond in the flesh and try to deal with things by the spirit. But sometimes I do get agitated. You know what I'm saying? I get agitated because what I realize, and sometimes I say this, I say, man, I should have stayed in the streets. If I'm because if I'm gonna deal with this in the church, you know, I might as well deal with it in the streets.
Right.
Because the truth of the matter is that some of the same stuff that goes on in the church actually goes on in the streets.
That's true.
You know, it's
That's
just
true.
transition to, and we put different type of layers over it.
That's
You see
true.
what I'm saying? But it's all the same, because the truth of the matter is that the people who are in the streets are the people that migrate into the church.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you see what I'm saying? So we
Right.
are the same people. We are the same people. It ain't like just when you go to church, everybody in there got it together. No, as a matter of fact, everybody in church got issues. There is nobody that can go to any church at any given time and say, I got this thing together. You don't have it together. You still struggling. You struggling with your baby daddy. You struggling with your husband. You struggling with your wife. You struggling with your kids. You struggling with your nasty attitude. You struggling, you know, you struggling in relationships. You struggling financially. Everybody is struggling with something. And a lot of our struggles are not because of what somebody else did to us. A lot of our struggles are simply because we refuse to handle the inner us. You see what I'm saying? We struggle in here.
Preach.
You know, and a lot of times, man, like we have daddy issues, mama issues, abandonment issues, rejection issues. We got all those issues going on, and it causes us to respond to certain adversities different types of ways. But we'll never say the reason I responded to you that way is because my daddy left me. The reason I respond to you that way is not because of what you did, but it's because of what I've been through. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
You know, so a lot of times we don't really want to address the real elephant in the room, and we take our junk out on other people, period.
Okay, let me ask you this. Inner Peace Church, what year did the church what year did the church actually open doors? What year?
2005.
2005. Okay, now let me ask you this. With that being a new church up and running, how are you able to attract so many members? Did people just follow you because of the groundwork you did, or did you have to go out there and recruit and say, hey, I'm preaching now, I have a church, y'all come to my church? How did you actually draw the members in?
It didn't actually start out like the church we have today.
Okay.
My church started out in a garage.
Oh, okay.
In my garage.
Give us a layout for that, please.
Okay. It started out, you know, I was ministering at New United Church.
Okay.
And one day after my aunt Harlan had passed, some people approached me after the funeral and asked me if I'd mind teaching a Bible study. They had been going from house to house, meeting at each other's house, teaching Bible study, but they had one minister. That one minister moved out of town, which caused them to look for another minister to carry on the Bible study only.
That's all right.
Okay. And so I went to my pastor at that time, who was McKinley Holloway, and I asked him about me taking on this. Before I said yes, I consulted my leader, because that's just like the thing that you do when you're under somebody's leadership. You want to invite their
chain of command,
their wisdom. Yeah, you know, you want to invite their wisdom. I'm not coming to you, you know, to allow you to determine yes or no. You know what I'm saying? Because once I hear God, that's it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm coming to you to do things, first of all, decently and in order, and to make sure that I have your support in what I'm doing, because I don't understand this. You see what I'm saying? I don't have it all together, and I still need old wisdom to guide me. Right. So, you know, that turned into a controversy. because
Oh,
I was stepping out into something, because he told me, and I love this man to death, even to this day. Haven't talked to him much since then, but yes, um, he told me I wasn't ready. Told me I wasn't ready. We 16 years in, but I wasn't ready then. And I understand where he was coming from, but he didn't really understand where I was coming from. I just wanted to
okay.
teach a Bible study. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to do what God called me to do. And they came to me. I never went looking for it. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so when they came to me, and after I went to him, he said no, and I did it anyway. And so it ended up being at my house. But the thing is, I had enough respect for him to not even mention it to the people that was in his church at
Sure.
all. And so I never mentioned it. I never came to anybody, because I'm not the type of dude that go looking for stuff. You see what I'm saying? I'm
Right.
looking for, no, 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 no. This came to me, and it
Right.
didn't come to me by accident. It was meant to
Right.
happen
True.
that way. I took the opportunity in the subdivision that I was living in. I had a vacant room downstairs, unfinished basement that I personally finished. I put sheetrock all in it, and the ceiling and ceiling fans and all that stuff. And I didn't know what the room was going to be for, but it ended up being the first church where we was meeting at Bible study. And we had so many cars in the subdivision at that time that it became a hazard in the subdivision,
Okay.
because we had white neighbors, we had people coming from everywhere, just walking to the house for the Bible study. And so we started growing. And after 2 or 3 months, I was like, man, we need a bigger building so we can continue to meet. I love this. And we didn't go from house to house. I asked them how they felt about just meeting here, and they said yes. We did it, and then eventually got a building. We got into that building, which was in Lafayette. I didn't start in Chattanooga. I started in
Okay.
Georgia.
Okay.
Okay. And so we got a building in Lafayette, and people started coming to Lafayette, and I'm new to this. You know what I'm saying? I've had no training. My pastor has pretty much wrote me off and told me that he's revamping this process, and that he really had nothing for me. So I was just leaning and depending on whoever I could at the time, being a young minister, and people not believing in you, and people not thinking, that it's going to work for you because of what you don't know. I just kept on pushing. I was determined, because I knew I heard what God told me to do. So I stepped into it. And then, like a few years later, we came to Chattanooga and got a building on Clio by East Lake.
Right.
It's a
Right. I know
house.
it's
It's a house. It's a house church on Clio Avenue. I think the Hispanics have it now.
okay.
But we went in there, and then next thing you know, we merged with another church. And during that time, while we was merged with the other church, we were with them for 4 years. I went through a divorce. Was going through a divorce, and then after all that junk, got messy. I said, look, I'm getting out of here. I'm going back to what God called me to. And I went to Chat In, and I rented their ballroom,
Is that
and the
the hotel
people.
by East Lake? The
Yes, sir.
hotel.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I went to the ballroom, rented that area for some months, uh, and then rented another building. Like, we've been from storefront to storefront, and then we eventually rented the building at Mount Canaan on Chamberlain, and then we moved to where we are. We've been where we are for 5 years, going on 5 years.
Okay.
So
Cool.
that's inner peace. That's 16 years of
Right.
transitioning. You see what I'm
Right.
saying? But no matter
Right.
what came,
Right.
no matter what went, bro, I know what God called me to do, and I've stuck to it ever since.
All right, man. That's an interesting story right there, man. That's a nice story. My next
It's
question
deeper.
now.
It's deeper, but that's just like the surface. Because during this transition, Maul, is where I learned a lot of lessons. I learned a whole lot of things. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot about people that I did not know. Because like when you're a pastor and stuff, and people say, man, we with you, and we rocking with you and this and that, and then you start trusting people, you're letting your guards down and all this stuff. You letting people stay in your house and live with you because they don't have a place to stay. You paying bills for people. You're doing all this stuff. And you there at everybody's funeral, you there marrying everybody, and they don't understand that this stuff is very exhausting. You know what I'm saying? And most of this stuff that you do for people, I had one dude, he had the audacity to say, well, you know like like, don't you supposed to do this, like, like, They don't want you to get no offering. They don't want you to get no gas money. They don't want you to be reimbursed for the time that you take away from your family, time off your jobs. Because I worked at Shaw. I was bivocational because I worked at Shaw for 20 years while pastoring and doing all this stuff. You see what I'm saying? I'm a computer technician at Shaw Industries and pastoring the church and doing all of this stuff. And then I had 4 weeks paid vacation at Shaw. And I could leave at any given time. But when I would leave from my job, these people wouldn't want to reimburse me for leaving. You see what I'm saying? But I kept on leaving. I never made it an issue about money. And my members can tell you that I don't even like talking about money. And the reason I don't like talking about money is because preachers have tainted people so bad to make them think that church is about money. Man,
That's true. They really have, man.
Right. And so when a pastor like myself stands up and mentions money, I feel some type of way. They will have anniversaries for me. You know what I'm saying? And then I feel ashamed because I'm even taking money that I know I deserve. You see what I'm saying? Like, what people don't understand, I give more than I take, bro. And I give more than I take, and I'm there for this person, there for that person. I'm drained. I'm tired. I preached so many funerals one year, man, that I was at the point of depression. A lot of people don't know that because I never talked about it. I was so depressed, man, that my wife had to pretty much like encourage me. I'm talking about I needed some major encouragement, man, because I preached so many funerals. Do you understand what it takes for a man to stand in front of a family whose son just got murked? You know what I'm saying? To stand in front of families week after week, sometimes 2 and 3 funerals, because people know that you can relate to their crowd, and you preaching these funerals and stuff. It takes from me. It's hard to stand in front of a mother with a black dress and tell them that everything is going to be all right. It's hard to stand up there and to preach the gospel, and you think people really don't want to hear it because they're wondering, where is God right now? You see what I'm saying? And that stuff just taken from me. And I hardly had people to pour back into me. And so I just became exhausted, depressed, and almost to the point where there are many times, bro, I almost said, look, I'm done with this, because I don't depend on the church to take care of me. I never depended on the church to take care of me because I'm a go-getter. I've been a hustler. You know what I'm saying? I know how to get out. I got my own lawn business. You know what I'm saying? I know how to get it. You see what's behind me? T-shirts.
I see that.
I'm out here in my building. You know what I'm saying? I got stuff all in here. But the point that I'm trying to make to you is that I know how to go get it. I don't have to go back to pausing in my community, but I still know how to get the bag. You see what I'm saying? And so therefore, a lot of stuff I don't have to put up with. I don't have to because preachers go through abuse. Pastors go through abuse. And guess why they go through it? Because they need that check.
Right.
They need that check. So they got to have people talking to them all type of ways. And I ain't built like that, Maal. I promise you, bro. I'm not built to have people talking down on me. I left a job that I was on for 20 years as a computer technician to start my own business and to work at the Urban League so that I can be in touch with the community. The first 3 years of my business, I hired young people from the community. The first 3 years. This is my first year taking a break. This is my first year taking a break from working with the young people because I needed to do it for me this time.
Yes.
I need to do it for me. You see what I'm saying? It's things that I want to do. It's things that I need. It's things that my wife needs. It's things that I got to get. And ain't nobody giving me nothing, bro. So I got to go get it myself. And sometimes you have to eliminate certain things that's free for everybody else in order for you to survive and do what you need to do. You know what I'm saying? So if I pull up in a brand new car right now, the church ain't bought it.
I got you.
If I move in a new house today, the church didn't buy it. You see what I'm saying? And guess what? I'm not knocking nobody else because it's a hard job being a pastor, but I can truly and honestly say everything that I have, I work for it. Ain't nobody gave me nothing, and ain't nobody that can challenge me on this live or no other time. You can't challenge me on it.
Gotcha. Now I heard you say something. It's crazy. Something you just said was my next question. About as far as funerals and stuff like that. Now my next question was this: like, outside of the pastor, when it comes to like you active in the streets on a positive level, meaning like you preached a few funerals, specifically two that I was at that I remember. You preached at Hollywood's funeral, Randall Taylor. You did his eulogy.
Yeah.
I was there. You know what I'm
Yes, sir.
saying? You spoke at Kiara Patton's funeral. I think
Yes,
Pastor
sir.
Kevin Adams preached the funeral, but you spoke there.
I went to the vigil. I came to the vigil too.
Right, right. And you was
Mm-hmm.
also at the candlelight vigil when you spoke for one of my homeboys, Cedric Mikes, Blinken, rest in peace. You spoke at that in the West Side. You know what I'm
Yes,
saying?
sir.
These things
And
I
his
seen with my
funeral.
own eyes right here. I seen this with my
Yeah.
own eyes. I was there. You know what I'm saying? So like things like that, when you do stuff like that, that I hate to use a term with a pastor, but that adds to your street credibility. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I can say something more professional, but you get where I'm trying to
But
go.
I get where you're coming from.
How does when you do things like that, outside of what you just said, uh what kind of on the back end, how do you see it, what comes to you when you say, you know what, it was worth it, I'm glad I did that? What kind of things come to you on the back end when you I know you're doing it from the heart, you're not doing it for no reward or for no handshake, but when you do that, what kind of thing comes behind that to where you say, you know what, I'm glad I went and did that vision on the West Side. I didn't have to, but I'm glad I did that. I'm glad I spoke at this funeral right here. This wasn't a Sunday message, but it asked me to do it and I went and did it. I'm glad I did that. What kind of things show you that for some reason that's the right thing to do?
They show me love, bro. They show me mad love, and there's people who didn't know me, that like, man, dude, he all right, man. You know what I'm saying? I
Right,
get in there and I encourage the family because that's what I'm supposed to do. I don't do it to draw people to my church. I don't
right,
do it so that people can come and fill my church up. But fortunately, people do come. Like a
right,
lot of my
right,
members that are in the church today are people that I have assisted in some type of way and been there for. So on the back end, it does work, but also in the same token, it can drain you because when the next time somebody die, they remember you. You see what I'm saying? And
right, right.
they know that you connect with the community. They know that you from the streets. They know because, man, I'm telling you, even the kids at Howard School where I work at today. Oh yeah, that's another job that I have. I work at the school.
Okay.
Um,
High
so
school, salute.
yeah, but you know what them kids did? They Googled me and they asked their parents about me. And they asked them, was I really from the streets? And kids will come back in my class and say, oh yeah, he from the streets.
You're official.
My mama, my dad know him. My dad grew up with him. You see what I'm saying? And
Right,
so when you got that type of credibility, like I don't have no problems at Howard. You see what I'm
right,
saying? They
right, right,
respect me. I was in the
right.
class the other day. I ain't trying to get off the subject, and they were like, "This class gonna be rough." I said, "I ain't worried about that." All TC class. This is the roughest class in the school. I came in there, man. They knew who I was, and they know I wasn't going. And they sat there, and they was quiet the whole time. And the sergeant came in, peeked in there, and I'm like, "You can go on back and tend to your class because ain't no problems over here." Because I'm not going for that, But like you build relationships with people through adversity. You see what I'm saying?
Right, right,
And
right,
I've never had an issue being there because, like, man, I'm from you. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Don't
right.
don't try don't try to stone me and don't try to hurt me because I honestly feel if you remove Ron King from the community, who you gonna replace me with? And I
Whoa,
don't say that
powerful,
I
powerful
don't say
question.
that I don't say that arrogantly,
You saying that
and I
humbly?
don't
You humble
I
with
don't
that?
say that boastfully.
Right.
But if you move me from the community, if you try to hurt me intentionally, you know, who you gonna replace me with? Because truth of the matter is that you might not like me, but your kids love me.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
might not be able to stand me, you know, because of assumption. Your kids love me. I got kids that I mentor that got bank accounts, bought their own car. I help them start their first line of credit by taking them to people that I do business with, and they'll start them out with $200. You know what I'm saying? And then they build their line of credit. That's the type of stuff that I do that I really don't even talk about.
Gotcha,
I'm
gotcha.
teaching them how to be responsible, how to have your own stuff. How, we ain't knocking your daddy because he wasn't there. As a matter of fact, I want you to succeed because the reason I go so hard is because of what my daddy wasn't. And anybody who know me, they know that my dad works with me. My dad works for me and my cousin Duck. You see what I'm saying? You know,
Right,
and
right.
and that's what we do. We love our dads, and we know that even though you have not been there, you know, we still love you. But guess what? We're gonna try to do better with our people than you did with us, and we still going to employ you.
Gotcha. You know what? This some you just it's crazy because a lot of these questions I had wrote down for you. You saying stuff that's leading into these questions. Now, here go my next question. All right, now listen to me close. I want you to break this down the best way you can. A lot of the preachers in the city, a lot of them are older. You know what I'm saying? And they in their heart they want to connect with the youth. They want to reach out there in some kind of way, draw them to the church, but it's something that they're missing. You know what I'm saying? Now I'm on the outside looking in, but to me it seems like you and Pastor Kevin Adams at Oliver, it's something that y'all got. It's like that it factor. It's something that y'all got to where y'all can talk to these young thugs, these young head busters, the young gangbangers. It's something that y'all can say to them that they can be like, all right, I want to go to this church. I like what this dude is saying. But it's 1,000 more pastors in the city who want to do that same thing, but it's some kind of disconnect between them and the youth. What is it, in your opinion? Do that question? Do that make sense? What I'm trying to ask you.
Yeah,
What
I'm a,
is it?
the disconnect to me is religion versus relationship.
Okay.
If you come to the table and all you got is religion,
All right.
you will never build relationships. And so, because I'm a relationship person, I don't know much about Pastor Adams or whatever, you know, but I'm sure he's a relationship person. He know how to connect with certain people. It's people don't like him, it's people don't like me, but we know how to connect with people that we connect with. You see what I'm saying?
I
And
get
when you
yeah, I
connect
get yeah.
with and when you connect with certain people, you connect with the people they connected with.
Right,
Because if you respect me, you got to respect my circle.
right,
You see what I'm
right,
saying? And if you
right.
don't respect my circle, really you just want attention from me anyway. You see what I'm saying? So we
Yeah,
just
I get it.
connect. We connect with folk that way. And when you connect with them, man, you know, you gotta like one time we was in the west side, me and a crew. We was in the west side, man, and we out there, you know, we don't been to every project. They know who we are when we go out there.
Right.
And we go out there and at one time, I'm gonna tell you two examples. We was in the west side, brothers sitting on the bricks. You know, they had they beer bottles and they were smoking that loud. And we out there, and I had about 10 guys with me. And I told the guys to go holler at them. You know what I'm saying? Y'all go holler at them. You know, I ain't gonna lead the way. I'm gonna stand over here and let y'all do it. Because at the end of the day, you know, we want people to come into the kingdom. We want people to know the Lord and all that stuff.
Right, right.
But that day, they realized that your approach is everything. Okay, so they went over there. They had their Bibles in their hand. And oh man, they're gonna tell them dudes about Jesus. Them dudes said, we don't want to hear that shit y'all talking about. Well, you know, we don't want to hear that. Hey, we that's what they said. You know, we don't know. You know, and they came back to me. I know some of them watching this live right now, they laughing like crazy because they know I'm telling the truth. And so they came back to me and I said, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a whole different approach. We're going back to them dudes. Came back, I said, watch this. Went over there, no Bible. And so we connected with them. I said, look, bro, we just out here because there was a lot of killing going on during that time. Like it was a lot of set tripping and a lot of shooting in different areas. So that's what compelled us to go out there in the first place. We went out there, and like I said, after it didn't work with them because they had that Bible, they're gonna beat them with the Bible. I said, mm-mm. Went over there because I'm training and I'm showing
Right,
them
right, right.
how you do it. People don't care what you know till they know that you care.
Right, all right,
So
smart. I
went
like
up,
that.
right. So we went up to him. I'm like, bro, I'm Pastor King. Me and the guys, we out here. We just trying to show some love. That's it. We got a lot going on in the city. It's a lot of black on black crime, and all we're trying to do is to do what we can to encourage our people. And then this is what they heard, Pastor. Why they asked that? Because they see all this.
Tattoo, right? Tattoo.
They see the ink, and so the ink leads to another question. Like, what was you before you was a pastor? You see what I'm saying?
Right.
And so I'm having a real dialogue while I'm surrounded with the guys. They listening, they watching, and we having a real conversation. The conversation started about my tattoos, and so we talking, and then I tell them where I'm from, what I'm doing, how God changed my life. And before we left, those guys who were sitting on that wall, smoking weed, drinking in the West Side, you know, were right there in a circle with us. These are the same dudes that we don't want to hear that shit. The same dudes that did not want to pray. We don't want to hear about your Jesus. Right there holding hands with us, with their heads bowed. And I'm leading them in prayer. Because I said, listen, we not out here trying to get another notch on our belt to say we won somebody to the church. Because it ain't about religion, it's about relationship. And so we prayed with those guys who said they didn't want to pray. All of them said it. It was about 6 of them. All of them didn't want to pray. But guess what? All of them did pray. Because we changed the approach. Okay?
Right.
You know, so and even after that, those dudes called me. I sat down with them, talked to them about things that were going on in their personal relationship. They called me. I left my number. There have been times, Maal, where there was shootings in the city, and one dude was in Job Corps. He was in Job Corps. I met him I forgot how I met him, but I gave him my number and my card or whatever and said, call me if you need me. This dude called me at 1 a.m. in the morning on his way from Job Corps. And said somebody don't shot up my house, and my baby mama and my kids was in there. I'm on my way home. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, hold up. You coming from Job Corps, that's an 8-hour bus ride, 6 to 8 hours. He said, man, I'm halfway there. He said, but you said if I need you, call you. He called me. I said, look, I gotta go because I gotta keep my word. I told him I would be there for him. I'm strapped. I don't never go nowhere without my pistol. I'm a licensed. I'm a licensed carrier. Okay.
Right.
You know, so I grabbed my piece. I left. You know what I'm saying? And I met dude when he got off the bus at the Greyhound bus station. You know what I'm saying? We found out where his family was, man. We diffused because he was coming back to beef with the people that did the shooting.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? You know, so that could have went any way. He couldn't have made it back to Job Corps. He could have came and took somebody's life. You see what I'm saying? You know, but I was able to intervene at 1 in the morning because I said, if you need me, call me. And so I kept my word and did what I said I'm going to do. And I was able to find his family located where they was located. We found them. I was able to pay for this dude a bus ticket, dude that I really don't know. And then I put him back on the bus the next day and he went back to Job Corps. And so that's me mediating and coming between something that could go down. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of stuff that I do, you know, in the community, I don't post it because everything ain't meant to be posted because you
That's
know,
true. That's true.
I still know the rules of the street.
That's true.
I still know the rules. You know what I'm saying? I still know what it is. You know, so some stuff you just don't post and you just really don't talk about and put names out there and all that stuff. But that's just a scenario. We was out in Willa Home one day. We ministering, you know, and them guys, they know, man, I bet they just laughing. We met this one dude who he had been locked up most of his life. We out there, man, when dude shook my hand, bruh, I'm telling you, my hand was sore for 3 months. Hey, Maul, when that dude shook my hand, bro, and those dudes was out there knowing. Hey, Vic Allen knew him. Victor Allen Jr., that's my dude. But he was with us that day, and he knew the dude. The dude picked Vic up when he hugged him, bro, and then held him all the way in the air, slinging him around like a rag doll. But I never forget
Penitentiary
that.
love.
Yes, but when he shook my hand, man, and squeezed my hand, and I heard my bones cracking, and he looked me in the eye. It was just something about that encounter that I'll never forget. But let me tell you, he listened to me. He said, "It's something about you." He said, "You the real deal." But I'm sitting here, man. When he was squeezing my hand, hey, all the guys around, once again, it's about 10 guys around. This dude squeezing my hand, Maul, and my bones cracking, and I'm hurting. I'm in pain. But guess what? I ain't backing down, bro. You shaking the hand of another real man. I ain't been to penitentiary, but I ain't no punk. And I'm a
Right.
real man. You know, so I'm going to take this pain, even if I got to go get surgery on my hand afterwards. You know what I'm saying? You know, but we were able to talk to him. But when we came to him, we had to come real. Once again, you can't come just shaking no Bible in nobody's face. You got to come with the realness, because that's what they want.
Right. True.
Those are
Here
just
go
few
my
encounters. So that's how we connect, bro.
here go my I think this is my final question for you. Okay, now when you out there mentoring to the youth, or not even the youth, there's people who you are trying to pull from the streets to the church.
Right. Yeah.
Uh from what they're telling you, what is their biggest challenge that they're having when they're trying to transition? Is it a pride thing? Is it a peer pressure thing? What is the thing that's okay, I want to do it, but I'm still trying to lean over this way because of what? What are they telling you is the biggest thing that's keeping them from going all the way in the midst of their transition?
Once again, one of the biggest things that's keeping people from coming in is that they think that they have to be perfect to come in.
Okay,
For
I'm glad you
so
said
for
that.
for for so many years, the church has painted a picture of perfection. And the truth of the matter, if you really read the Bible, the people that Jesus ministered to were way less than perfect. Way less than perfect. I'll take this for an example. There was a woman in the Bible that some religious leaders caught in adultery. They brought that woman to the center of the circle, surrounded her, and said, "Jesus, what about this woman right here? She was caught in adultery." First of all, they brought the woman and never did bring the man. So we knew that they was on some bogus stuff anyway. But Jesus says, "You who are without sin,
Cast the
cast the
first
first
stone.
stone. Go on
Cast
and
the
kill her."
first stone.
Because if you got a perfect record, you got every right. You got every right to stone her. And then the Bible says that they walked away from her. They walked away from her, from the oldest to the youngest. And that tells me that the younger people were being trained by the old fools. Let me say that again. The younger people were being trained by the old fools.
Right.
Okay?
I get
All
that.
right?
Yeah.
And so when the old fools walked away, the young guys walked away with them. So nobody had room to stone the woman because Jesus made them reflect on their own stuff. And when you begin to reflect on you and all your shortcomings and all your incomplete areas, then you don't have any room to talk about what somebody else is doing and what somebody else has been through. You in a struggle right now, but how you gonna put your mouth on somebody else when you ain't even overcome your own junk? And your biggest struggle is not people. Your biggest struggle is you.
Yeah, that's true.
My
That's
my
true.
biggest struggle has never been them. My biggest struggle has been me. Once I tame me, and once I get me in order, and once I deal with my imperfections and my sin and my junk, that leaves me no room to show up at somebody else's doorstep saying, "Hey, what you got going on over here?"
Right.
I'm
That's
not
true.
going to tweet. I'm not going to tweet about it. I'm not going to text about it. I'm not going to put you on IG. I'm not going to do none of that stuff. Why? Because I got my own stuff. Because when we stand before God, He ain't going to ask you about them. He's going to ask you
True.
about you.
True. True story.
What they do. Now, that'll never come up. He's going to say, "How did you handle that situation?" How did you deal with that peer pressure? How did you deal with the fact that they were slandering your name? How you deal with it? And then you're going to be accountable for your own actions. But Jesus told that woman, he says, where are your accusers? And she said, they gone. He said, if they don't accuse you, then neither do I. And then he told her one last thing, go and sin no more. He said, I know what you did, but don't keep walking in the same thing. Don't keep doing the same thing over and over. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
He
sir.
says, don't keep doing that. But guess what? You're free to go. So at the end of the day, when everybody else has walked off and said what they said about you, then you left standing before God. You left standing before the one that you're accountable to. And everybody was standing there for her condemnation, but nobody was there for her restoration.
Powerful.
See, because they were already gone when Jesus got ready to restore her. So they didn't see that part. All they saw is what she did, but they left too soon. If they would have stayed a little while longer, they would have saw him restore her and tell her to go and don't keep doing the same thing.
True. Pastor Ron King, preach to him. That's my guy right here. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey, Maul, I don't even want to get off the line. I don't even want to get off the line.
This been education, and based on the numbers I'm getting right here, man, this probably been my biggest one. Before you, my biggest one was forming No Limit Records, recording all this Mercedes. But I think you just topped her numbers based on what I'm seeing, bro. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man. I appreciate that, man.
Hey, bro, I love you, man, and you know me. You know,
I do.
If you call me, it's up, man. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And there's so much more to say because I know people got questions, bro.
Yes,
they got questions about what are we preaching. They got questions about whether we are Israel. They got questions. You know what I'm saying? It's so much stuff out there, and they want to know why preachers aren't telling the truth. It's just so many things to talk about, man. There's so many things to talk about. And I'm going to give you that opportunity to interview me again when you get ready.
I'm gonna tell you this.
Yes.
When we talked on the phone, you told me some stuff that you got coming up in the future, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Sir.
When that situation is done, we need to talk about that.
Okay.
When that you know what I'm talking about. When that situation is complete and everything is finished, we need to come back to the table and we need to and use the same platform to talk about that and go into more details about why you did that.
Yes, sir. I got you. You know, and let me say this before we get off, man. Like I got a pure connection with these young folks, man. Like they are yearning for somebody to help them. See what I'm saying? And there's some parents that remove their kids, you know, because I wasn't able to keep some obligations at certain times, you know, and this and that. But man, you hurting your kids. When you take them away from somebody they respect and somebody that they love, you got to get over yourself. Get over what other people are saying. Get over your own emotions. Get over that. And then you got to make a decision, the best decision for your child. And listen, your child, if they've been around me, your child love Pastor King. Period. Point blank, period. And you can't even argue with it. Your child love being around Pastor King. Why? Because I'm gonna teach them the truth. I'm gonna show them the way, and they'll even respect you more because they respect a man of God.
That's true. That's true. Hey, Pastor King, listen. On my word, we will definitely have to do a part 2. I'm seeing people comments. I'm not responding to them, but I'm seeing them, man. We definitely have to do a part 2, man. Definitely, because it's necessary. It's educational, and then at the end of the day, we can save a lot of these youngsters in the street because a lot of people follow you. You know what I'm saying? So I think we need to do that.
I'm with that, man. I'm with saving our people and doing whatever I got to do it.
Before we go, give people your Instagram information where they can follow you at, and also give them the church address and what time did you do service on Sunday, so people who want to attend that. So give that to them before we go.
Okay. My Instagram is Ron King Real. Of course, you know my Facebook is Ron King. I don't use King Ron. Don't even know the password to it. My church address is 2125 Tunnel Boulevard. You know, and that's where we are. You know, so that's what it is, man.
And what time is the service on Sunday? What time?
We start at 9 online, you know, but like October first week of October, we're gonna try to go in and see how the first service go, because it's been since March since we've had a service, you know. So and my people are really hurting, you know, because they need that motivation, they need that word, they need to see each other. We can't do all the hugging and stuff that we do, but they need to be there. they want to be there. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't have ever even considered it if enough people didn't reach out to me saying, Pastor, please, open the church so we can at least come in, like for one Sunday, So October 1st, first Sunday in October, that's where we'll be, and we will be there. I'll announce it. They just have to watch my my Facebook page, because we will post it. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? But for now, our service started at 9 a.m. So and log in and catch us, and we'll go from there.
Hey, y'all. So again, 9 a.m. every Sunday online. Pastor Ron King is on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah.
October the 1st. We're gonna call that
Yes, sir.
the reopening. October the
That's it.
1st, the reopening
Yes,
of
sir.
Inner Peace Baptist Church, October the 1st. So
Hold
stay
on.
tuned. Stay tuned.
Take Baptist off.
I'm
Take
sorry,
Baptist off,
Inner
bro.
Peace Church, October the
There you
1st.
go.
October the 1st.
Yeah.
Y'all remember that day. Hey, Ron King, much love, my guy. I respect you. I respect everything you're doing, man. I appreciate you for tuning in, and we'll be in touch, my dope.
Salute, bro.
Salute, homie, for sure.
Yes, sir.